Puss. Hello. I'll wait a little bit because I came on without much notice there. Hope everyone's well. Happy New Year if I haven't spoken to you before then. Today I just want to go through a light workout and show you some of the stretches that I do. Puss, Rochelle, nice to see you. Show you some of the stretches that I do and why I do them, especially if you're, over 35. There's a lot of people. Puss, Marco, good to see you, man. A lot of people over 35 kind of talk about how their hips and knees and so on are a little bit sore. Puss, Tigray, good to see you, man. And Mike, I'm glad it's sunny there. It's beautiful here too. It's really beautiful day. You can see out the, let me just go for a walk and show you outside. But it's been really lovely weather lately. So this is my first session downstairs in the dojo, downstairs dojo, and I've done some refurbishing because during the storms and a lot of the big branches were blown down. So I've got some big branches there. My buddy Shane's lending me his chainsaw. It's just been sharpened. But anyway, beautiful here too, Mike. Oh, rainy and wet in Melbourne. My daughter just made it. She arrived from Melbourne yesterday. So I hope everyone's safe and well. Here we are. Today I'm just going to go through a little bit of a short workout, just show you what you can do. But what I've been doing lately is planning the training sessions. And I may have mentioned before, what's Daniel, Paul, good to see you guys. I've mentioned before that I often plan my, Raj, namaste, plan my training sessions around 10 to 15 minute blocks. So if you do a 90-minute session, well, then you can do 6 15-minute blocks. And the first 15 minutes obviously is the bow in and a warm-up. Second 15 minutes is basics. Now, if you're younger and you're running a strong class where you do a lot of basics, well, then you can do 2 15-minute units on the basics. But we always do one 15-minute unit. Sometimes it overlaps into the warm-up. So the warm-up, guys will come in early, do a bit of a warm-up, and so the basics might go for 20 minutes. But work around 15-minute blocks. So we do 15 minutes of basics. And then we'll do 15 minutes of moving basics and kata, or just kata sometimes. And then we'll work 15 minutes of skill development. So someone might request they want to work a 1-2 combination, or they want to work how to be sneaky with the kick, so how to set up a kick and go high and low, or how to work on a particular transition. These transitions, I often call them switches, because you're switching from one range to another or one angle to another. And the more efficient you can get with those switches, the better you can be. Obviously, if I'm going 1, 2, step off to the side, block, roundhouse kick, well, then efficiency means being able to coordinate everything so it happens very smoothly, low energy, very safely, so that you don't get caught. Because remember, fighting's all about being sneaky, and who's sneakier than the other one, who can make the other one's defense, who can make your attack faster than their defense, kind of thing, So anyway, you just work on the combination. So we might do 15 minutes of skill drill. So that'll mean, like, for example, on Wednesday night, we did working on power in the kicks. So we worked the stomp turn drill, we worked the coxcomb defense drill, coxcomb defense counter, coxcomb defense counter, double counter, that sort of thing. And then we'll go into kumite, and we'll do the first part of kumite will be applying those particular techniques that you've worked on in kumite. So we may even start where you'll have one side, so we were working head kicks. So you'll have one side, it's just normal kumite moving around, but the one side will predominantly throw head kicks. So they're throwing kicks in movement. And so the other side, you get used to seeing the movement. and recognizing the movement, which is a subtly different thing to standing there and just doing the movement. And then the second half of the round, the other side will predominantly throw head kicks. And you just work on constantly making sure that your coxcomb is in the right position. And sometimes people think that this is how you block a kick, or this is how you block a kick. It's never going to block anything, because with bare fists, it's just going to knock you out. So anyway, and then you can continue on with more kumite there, normal kumite if you like. And then for the last 15 minutes, we'll wind down, we'll have a stretch down. We'll usually break that into 3 5-minute sections, and we'll have a warm down, and then we do the 3 magic questions where we'll all stretch and sit together, discuss what went on. Well, not for long. I don't want to go into it. Some people get really long-winded. You don't want that. We focus on the 3, what we call the quintessential questions, the 3 magic questions. And we've been over this before. And if you get into the habit of asking these 3 questions at the end of every training session, it will exponentially increase the trajectory of your improvement over time. And the 3 questions are: 1, what did I do well tonight? You always ask, what did I do well first? Because sometimes you can get overwhelmed. You can feel like you got beat up. So you think that you're not doing well. But the reality is you'll always find something that you did well. And even the fact that you turned up for training you put you ahead of 97% of the human race. So the first question, what did I do well tonight? You might have found that your timing was good, that you picked up on the block really nicely, that your vision was right, footwork, doesn't matter what it is. Secondly, what didn't I do well? Well, it may be that your timing between the block and the counter was very lazy, or the block and the counter the timing was wrong, so your body weight was wrong, etc. So what did I do well? What didn't I do well? And the third question, what am I going to do about that? So what this does is, by asking the 3 magic questions at the end of every training session, you know exactly, if you have nothing else planned, you know exactly what you can work on the next training session you have. Okay, and then there's your 90 minutes. So you get 6 for 90 minutes. You get 6 15-minute sections. The warm up, the bow in warm up, basics, moving basics and kata, skill drills, kumite, employing those skill drills, and the wind down, stretch down, magic questions, and bow out. And there's 90 minutes. Okay, and if you divide them into 90 minutes, and this is a magic thing too, when we used to do tournament fighting, we used to actually divide the rounds into 20-second sections. So you're not actually going out for a 2-minute round or a 3-minute round. What you're going out for is a series of 20-second sessions. So the first 20 seconds, for example, you may be simply getting a feel of the size of the fighting area, moving around, getting your footwork in, checking the way your opponent moves. But the most important thing is you don't want to get too crazy, and you don't want to allow them to try and look good, because remember, tournament fighting is nothing more than the impression you create with judges. It's got nothing to do with fighting. If it was fighting, you would have mugged the guy in the change room before the fight. That's how much of a difference there is between fighting and tournaments. Remember, tournament is just a sporting aspect using skills that may or may not be used in fighting. Okay, so we break the fighting. I'll do a whole session on this. It's really worthwhile. I'll do a whole session on timing, how to break down the tournament rounds into sections and how to manage those sections. And we introduced, back in the 90s, I introduced the 20-second lots. Most people were doing 30 seconds to go, and the guy had run out of juice, because I realized through research that the human body can pretty well handle a hard 20 seconds all the time, but not 30 seconds. The body, under extreme stress and demands, physical demand, will break down before the 30 seconds is up, but generally you can last 20 seconds. So anyway, what I'm saying is, for example, the last minute may be that for the first 20 seconds of the last minute, you're going to go really at about 80% more, and don't let him touch you. You create an amazing impression with the judges. You're moving around, bang, 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 whack. You're doing really nice combos. Then the next 20 seconds, you back off a little bit, and it's almost imperceptible, but the fighters knew, and I knew, the cornermen knew, and for 20 seconds, you're getting your breath back, but you're baiting him because he's just spent 20 seconds on the defensive, so he's got to try and reestablish some sort of impression. But for 20 seconds, you're managing that, but you're getting your energy. Then the last 20 seconds, and especially often what had happened there, their corner would go 30 to go. So the last 10 seconds of that middle 20 seconds, they'd be going really, really hard and burning up juice. You're just defending, moving, and then on the last 20 seconds, bam, you nail it. You go in and you create the impression. So tournament fighting, in one respect, was all about managing 20-second units. And there's 3 20-second units in a minute. If it was a 2-minute round, you're talking about 6 20-second units. A 3-minute round, you're talking about 9 20-second units. Okay, now this is a really quite an innovative approach to how we used to do it, and it gave us tremendous success because the fighters always were managing their energy flow in the fight from 20 seconds to 20 seconds. So you weren't trying to win necessarily a 3-minute round. You were trying to dominate a certain 20-second period. And then if you needed a break, you'd pull back, but you wouldn't let them dominate that 20 seconds. And then, you know, it was an accumulation of dominant 20-second periods that would give you the decision. Of course, that's completely separate to fighting, as I say. Fighting, we always talk about the 3-second rule. You want to get in, and depending whether it's a red light, orange light, or green light situation, you want to get in and completely dominate, annihilate, humiliate. I think that probably something that sounds like Muhammad Ali would have said. I annihilate, dominate, humiliate. No, that maybe it was even Jean LaBelle. I don't know. But anyway, you'd go in and completely overwhelm them. This isn't tournament fighting, this is street fighting. It's all about trying to knock them out straight away, knock them out or contain them straight away. There's no bouncing around for 20 seconds. Most of my street fights, and I've had a fraction of the number of street fights that I've often heard about myself having. You hang around nightclubs long enough, you hear stories about the fights you had, which you never had. But anyway, the number of fights I had, I could count on my fingers. But the point was, predominantly, 99% of them were over in a single blow, because you're not going to hang around, are you? You don't want to give them too many opportunities. Torbjörn, I saw those pictures of you in the snow, and that just proved that you're insane. Bare-chested, bare feet, training in the snow and jumping in ice water. And there was so much steam coming off your body, Torbjörn, you probably could have boiled a kettle and had a cup of tea with it. It was crazy. Harry, good to see you from down the mountain. Frederick, hope all's well, Frederick. So now, let me just, Kyokushin Society, please remind me, is your name, is it Anil? Anyway, let me know. And speaking of Anil, Steve Arnil announced his retirement from IKF, one of the most significantly important careers in Kyokushin that we've ever seen. He trained some amazing fighters. And if he didn't train them personally, he obviously oversaw them. Claudio, that's it. I'm getting you mixed up with someone else, that's why. But yes, good to see you, Claudio. But Steve Arnil, Hanshi, he trained guys. And I think it's amazing that he was actually the coach of the first non-contact team in the WUKO, the World Union of Karate. He was the coach of the first team to ever beat the Japanese in the world. This is interesting. People didn't realize, they talk about Kyokushin never being able to handle it in, the Kyokushin. They couldn't handle the non-contact style of fighting. The first non-Japanese to win the world championship was coached by Kyokushin Steve Arnil, and 3 of the 4 fighters were Kyokushin fighters. They were the first ones to ever beat the Japanese. That's why it really annoyed them, mainly because of the Kyokushin presence. They all had the Kyokushin kanji and everything. And then after that, Steve Arnil had to make a choice, so he chose full contact. But anyway, what an amazing career. Steve Arnell, congratulations. And, of course, congratulations to Shihan Dave Pickthall, who was unanimously selected to take over the role as president of the IFK. So, anyway, a little bit of trivia for today there. Us, Frederick, Claudio, Ken, Ken, good to see you. Mike, Kumite and fighting, so often misunderstood. Yeah, it's like Kumite and fighting is a little bit like slot car racing or driving and Formula One. You can't even compare the two. Us, Tim, good to see you. Marco, ATP and lactic. Well, that's what it's all about. It's the management of lactic acid and the ATP, the adenosine triphosphate. You know, if what we used to do, this is why sometimes people look at our training and think we're soft and we don't train hard. But the fact of the matter is, if you're training and you're starting to breathe heavy, it means you're using the lactic system. You're using the what is it? The word slipped me. But if you're relying on heavy breathing, you're using the oxygen system. And what we used to do, managing the short bursts, would allow us to have enough energy to maintain power and speed and energy in the alactic system. So in other words, we're drawing on the word slipped my mind. But anyway, aerobic, yeah, anaerobic and aerobic. So most power and explosiveness is in the anaerobic system. Endurance is in the aerobic system. And if you constantly are plugging away in a fight, you're breathing heavy, well, you're primarily depending on your aerobic capacity. But you have to also train your anaerobic capacity. And that means during training, to train your anaerobic capacity, you can't allow the body to go into that lactic phase. So quite often training will be very short and explosive with long rest breaks. And we do this and people think, well, they don't train very hard, but then we get the results. So anyway, if you talk the World Cup, I think I got that year right. I had no idea what to do before, during, after my matches, but the beer and sushi was great. Yeah, well, there you go, Ken. And I think when fighters go into an event, especially World Cup level, it's really important to understand all the possible influences that can culminate in success or failure. And a lot of people look at fighters, successful fighters, and think, gee, they're strong and the good genetics, all that. But the fact is they've trained like nuts. And there's a difference between training smart and training hard all the time. So anyway, us Paddy, us Lennox, hey buddy, us, Happy New Year. Hope Santa was good. Jimmy, how are you? Us, I met Arnell Sensei very briefly when I was a complete beginner. He was very nice too. My mates and me encouraged us. Yeah, Steve Arnell is actually really, really influential. I mean, he was actually from Zimbabwe. He wasn't British. But Bob Bolton in the UK, when Steve Arnell had been training at Hombu, I'm obviously there's no direct flights from Tokyo to Zimbabwe back in the 60s. So he encouraged Steve Arnell to come back to Zimbabwe via England. And whilst he was there, he convinced him to start the BKK, the British Kyokushin. And so Bob Bolton and Steve Arnell started that. And then Steve Arnell stayed in England. Bob Bolton moved to Australia and was very influential in establishing Australian Kyokushin. People don't realise Bob Bolton, he was one of my heroes. He was actually an incredibly, incredibly high-level, world-class level judo player training at Kodokan for 5 or 6 years. And they had a picture of him on the wall of Kodokan, which called him the Gaijin Oni, or the foreign devil. He was very, very feared and respected for his judo skills. 1964, he was told by the British Judo Federation he wouldn't need to come back to UK to represent England in the judo in the Olympics. And so he stayed in Japan. But then when push came to shove, politics took over and someone else represented England, even though he was far and away the strongest guy there. So he left judo, and that's when he joined Kyokushin. So you'll see photos of the old Oyama Dojo days with Bob Bolton there. He was a legend. That's correct. Bob was very influential in the establishment of the AFA magazine. Rest his soul, rest in peace. I used to see him from time to time because his son lives on the Gold Coast, so he'd come up and visit. We'd run into each other. But then he passed away very suddenly with a heart attack a few years back. So that's very, very, very sad. Was progressive overload? Well, that's a successful and very, very useful form of training. Ever trained with Canadian members? Gym, yeah, of course. I trained a lot with the Canadian guys. There's two sides, of course. I've been over to Montreal, trained there. I have trained over with Shihan Stuart Corrigal in BC once. Did a seminar over there for Shihan Corrigal, but also we've trained together numerous times in Japan. We've spent a lot of time together over the years, and also in Hawaii. Got a lot of time for Shihan Stu. Bob was also, yes. So anyway, look, enough of the chatter. I'm just going to do a little bit of a short stretch, mainly for my own good. I'm training pretty well every night now. We've got 2 dojos doing that, plus a couple of mornings other than my own training. So one thing that comes to mind is the older you get, the more you have to manage your energy. Time is one thing. Most people are time poor, but as you get older, you become energy poor. When you're young, you've got too much energy, and that's why there's so many people do stupid things because they've got too much time on their hand, and they don't know how to manage their energy properly. Too much energy and too much time. So anyway, I think it's really, really valuable and important to remember that as you get older, you have to manage your energy particularly well. Remember that today's training should be as hard as it can be so that tomorrow's training is the best it can be. If you train flat strap today, you're dead beat tomorrow. You can't even get out of bed. You're so sore. That's if you're over 35, 40, 45, 55, 60 even, if you're in your 60s. Urs Levan. Good morning, South Africa, 38-year-old debutant. Welcome, Urs. Good on you. Welcome, Levern. I think this is the first time you've tuned in. Great to see you. Who do you train with in South Africa? Do you train with who? Just let me know who you train with so I know. But anyway, I'll do a bit of a stretch, and remember that the stretching that I do is designed to preserve my knees. I think that's very important. And your hips. More and more people seem to be having hip operations, and that just tells me that simply the alignment is wrong. Your alignment has to be correct for the stretching to be safe. And I use the acronym grab a stretch. Okay, grab stands for the G is the gaze and gravity. R equals relaxation. A equals alignment. So that's how important it is. You have to make sure your alignment is always correct to project your joints over time. Some people wear the joint wear as a medal, and B stands for the breath. So by that I mean, when you grab a stretch, your gaze allows you to get correct alignment. So when I'm stretching that way, you want to make sure you're looking that way, because I'm stretching like that, my neck's all wrong. You'll pull muscles, especially as you get older. Relaxation, and G2, gravity. Don't fight gravity. Just let gravity do the work, and gravity will help you stretch. A, alignment. Make sure your joints are aligned. So there are certain stretches you should never do. And it's not we're taught bad stretches. We're taught the incorrect way to do good stretches. That's more important. And breath, of course, you coordinate it with your breath. So I'll see if I can wake my legs up after sitting in Cesar. Isha. Right about good. As you can see, I've taken the mats up behind. I'll put them back down again eventually. Good. Okay, Dave, so you can join in if you like. I'm just going to go through my usual stretching routine, which is very short, very safe, but very good. The most important muscles to stretch, of course, are the ones that don't get enough stretching, which is particularly the hip flexor area. So you need to work on that because that will give you good value with your kicks. And after I do a stretch, I might even look at a couple of basics, or I might even look at the stomp turn drill that we use, which we've covered before, but it never hurts to cover again. And if you're wondering why I'm standing here like this, my legs are asleep. I've been sitting in Cesar for 25 minutes, and I'm just waiting for my legs to start, starting to circulate now. If you ever spend a long time in Cesar and your feet go to sleep, the best thing you can do is just don't move because it hurts too much. Okay, now they're tingling, which means the blood's flowing. Okay, so let's just start off. Again, alignment, you see, I pigeon toe. When I do the knees, sometimes I see people with their feet out, they're doing the knees, and that places tremendous stress on the ligaments of the knees. You don't want to push the knees in. But by turning the toes in, you do it, and look, when I go this way, now my feet and my knees are in alignment. So now I don't get that stress. Turn your feet out, you push in, you get tremendous stress here. And if you do that enough, warm-ups 3, 4, 5 times a week for 10, 20 years, no wonder people's knees are wrecked. Okay, so you have to take control of those. So I pigeon toe, 1, 2, 3. And that way, by pigeon toeing, you don't hurt your knees as much. 3. And I've got a really bad knee, but I can still do this. Little feet a little bit wide. Try to have your feet parallel if you can. Depending on your flexibility, you might have to turn your toes out. Squatting nice and deep down. Try and sit down so your butt goes down. There, like that. You see my feet have turned out a little bit. That's because of the lack of flexibility. So try and have them straight. And watch my feet. As I squat down, they'll breathe out. Try and go all the way down. If you can't reach the ground, that's fine. When I first started karate, that's as far as I could go. But just over time, go down, go down. Even if you can hold your toes, that'll help. If you can get your hands down. And fortunately for me, I can get my palms on the ground. And I like to just open up and let gravity do the work. I just breathe in. As I breathe out, I just let gravity take over. Squatting, breathe in. Nice and deep with the squat. Breathe in. Bend your knees a little bit and come up. Good. Double. It's really good. A lot of people do this, and it's a great exercise. But as you get lazy, you go shorter, and to make it more obvious, you end up getting closer to this than you do doing it properly. So what we do in the dojo, which was taught to me by Shihan Oishi, was you want that sound of the hand hitting the foot, and as long as you maintain that sound, you know that you're getting the full range of motion in the twist. So we're twisting. 8, 9, and 10 down the middle. Hands flat. 1, 2, 3. Hitch, knee, sun, knee, sun. I don't want to spend too much time on this because you can replay the video and pause it anytime you want and take longer. It doesn't matter if you spend an hour stretching, and if that's all you do, you haven't wasted your time. The one somatic of all the somatics that impacts beneficially on the others is stretching. And by somatics, I mean speed, strength, cardiovascular endurance, and flexibility. And we have a 5th one in karate. I call them the big 5. So speed, suppleness, strength, stamina, and the fifth one is body endurance. I call sturdiness. Sturdiness is the ability to take impact, and that is only relevant to impact sports. And if you doubt that, you take a really good athlete from a non-impact sport and you put him in an impact sport for one interaction. In the space of that one interaction, his body will generally be broken because they're just not used to the impact. So sturdiness is the fifth somatic. Now the one somatic that impacts beneficially on all of them is flexibility. If you have a wider range of motion in any joint, you'll always be able to express strength at a wider range of motion. You'll be able to express speed because speed binds up towards the end of the range of motion. But if your range of motion is greater, well, then you're going to have less binding. Okay, so you can spend a lot of time on stretching, but I'm not going to do that today. Okay, so we pull down to the right. And again, left. I like to breathe in about this point and breathe out. Again, alignment, try to get your back aligned and pull it in towards your knee. Breathe in, hold your toes like a trigger, and breathe in and pull down. And 3 count. Try to get the balance, try to find your balance point. People who do this over time get used to it, but you want to try and get the heel and the heel on the ground. My heel is still bruised from 3 months ago where I stone bruised with grappling. Now turn the hip flexor. You can keep your knee off the ground if you want. I can't because of the stress on my knee. But this is the hip flexor area that we're stretching. So it's not about being like this. You want to push that forward. If you can elevate it. You can even bring this foot up and that will stretch it even further. Like that, push your hip forward. You want this line here to be at least 180 degrees. And you can put the arm up. Or, even better, hold the foot that side and put the arm up here. And stretch your hip flexors that way. And once again, work on having the heels on the ground. Find the balance point and try to get the calf on the ground. If you can get the calf on the ground, then get the hamstrings on the ground. And just again, let gravity do the work. I put my elbow here and open up that way. Let gravity do the work. Untighten. Again, the other side. Nice and relaxed. Again, breathe in. As you breathe out, you let gravity overtake. All these little points. People flick past these videos on YouTube and go, there's nothing there, I won't. But if you take the time to pay attention to some of these instructionals you'll see online, not just me, but anyone, and you listen to the key points. And for me, it's all about grab a stretch. Your gaze has to be right. I don't want to be here talking to my friend over there because I'm going to twist my neck. Or I don't want to be here. You want to find the best gaze line that aligns your body. And also G for gravity. I let the gravity here. I don't want to fight it. Just relax and let gravity do the work. And that's when you breathe in. R, relax. B, breath, breathe in. Just align, let the breath go. Now you'll find sometimes you count to 10. It's neat. Some don't do that. You can if you want. Do what you want. But what I mean is count your breaths. So here you do an ibuki breath with your mouth closed. So instead of going, what you do is you close your mouth. You do that, what they call ujjayi breathing, and every time you breathe out, You let gravity take you down. Neat. Once again, hip flexor, pushing forward. Push forward here. You don't lean here. You push there. So take your upper body back and you push your hips forward. Open up. And like I said before, you can even lift the foot up and hold it with your hand. And some. Now a lot of Kyokushin dojos, they do this quick, itch, knee, sun, itch, knee, sun. I think that's half the problem with joint damage over time, because you go too fast, so you don't have time to align the joints correctly. So here I just want to get nice and deep, make sure the calf muscle's on the ground, and if you can, you take the hammy to the ground as well. Okay, and there, straighten the legs. Shake it. Now we go shikodachi. Why shikodachi and not kibadachi? It's because the alignment of the legs. It's very important to be in line with the knees. So shikodachi here, thumbs in front, not behind. In front so your waki are closed. And you just push your left shoulder forward. Stretch the spine as you push your knees out. Ante, breathe in. Breathe out. Ante, breathe in. Breathe out. Ante, breathe in. Breathe out. Now this next part, you can go down here too, with your elbows down. Now this next part we call shiko bumi, or stomping, shiko stomping from the sumos. So it's a stretch, it's not a kick. So I'm not coming up and I'm not going bang, side kick like that. What I'm doing is I'm coming up and I'm stretching all the adductors. Stomp down and down. Minutes, and that's a really good. You don't have to count. You can start off by counting 10, and then build it up and build it up, so that you're doing 100 of them. And if you can do that, you'll really get a nice flexibility. And if you can't keep your balance, just have a couple of posts, like at the picnic spot at where we do it. There's just these posts which are perfectly spaced. I'm going to lean on that one, and when I come this way, I lean on that one. Okay, so they're good too. They're really good stretches. Once again, then after that, I'm going to stretch here, 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 nice and wide, and then go splits. Forgive me, I'm not as flexible as I used to be. Important here too to get alignment right. I don't want to be here with my hands on one side. That kind of creates a false impression that you're more flexible than you are. What you want to do is be square, align it, and come into this sort of stretching position. There. Like that. And we go strong in. I'm just going to turn that alarm off. And then we go back to Shomen here. And sit down. Once again, nice and easy. This is a great way to just do things like watch videos. When I read my iPad in the morning, I'll sit like this and I'll read the iPad like that. And don't beat yourself up about flexibility. The only rule is try to do it every day and you will see improvement over time. The goal is not this time next week. The goal is this time next year. If you're consistent through the year, I guarantee that helps everything else. So I'll push here, push towards there. So relax everything here, push, relax everything here, and push there. Good. Now I can hold my leg, come over, and just breathe in. Relax. Again, come over. And relax. Now you can hold that. It's good to hold it for 3 or 4 breaths. I always find if I take my time and hold it for 2 breaths, 3 breaths, and you'll find around 5 or 6 breaths there's a release, and all of a sudden the body. Okay, going forward now. I like to breathe in as I spider fingers out. So I'm here. Breathe in, spider fingers. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And coming in. Squeeze it off. Legs straight. You can reach your knees, great, or your shins, or your ankles. If you can reach your feet, great. If you can reach the back of your feet, even better. In the old days when I was flexible, I'd hold my hands like this at the bottom of my feet and pull forward that way. But I can't do that right now. It'll be 6 months, we'll see how we go. There. So breathing in, going forward. Okay, I'm just going through these quickly to show you how this is the routine generally that I follow for myself, but obviously I do it for a lot longer. We've been doing this for about 15, 20 minutes already. Take your time. And if you've got a book to read, then you can relax into the position. Take your time. And if you've got a book to read, then you can relax into the positions. Okay, so there's a little bit of a stretch for you. Just going to read the messages. What's Carl? Good to see you, man. Kit Laughlin, I'm not too sure. I know Kit Griffin. Do you mean Kit Griffin, Linus? Kit Griffin was one of my senpai in my dojo when I was a youngster. He had great kicks too and good flexibility. Okay, so just to finish off, look, today's nothing special. I just want to say hi. Patreon family, I love you all. It's making all the difference. And if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, all that, hit subscribe, hit the bell, give me the 1, 2, like, subscribe, or like, comment, leave a comment. It seems to make a difference. Us, Suhas Banik. Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming along. So I'm just going to go through over the next 5 or 10 minutes one of the drills that we were doing the other night. We've done it before, but it never hurts to revisit. No, I don't know him, Linus. Mike, you're a funny guy. But I'll tell you a little story. In actual fact, I have one leg longer than the other because in December 1975, I used to be an avid water skier. I'd water ski a lot, and I was skiing behind a racing boat. I was doing it about 90 miles an hour. So I guess what's that? It's about 140, 145 Ks. Water was pretty smooth, but the boat slowed down, and as I went to turn around, I lost it. I lost control, and I made a huge mistake of not letting go of the rope quick enough. And when you're doing speed skiing like that, your foot is really tightly stuck in your ski. It's meant to slip out, but sometimes when it's tight, it won't slip out as easy. So I've held on for a fraction too long. I've fallen off. The ski has caught the water and my body has kept going. And my left leg was pulled out of the joint 7 inches, which is like, 17 or 18 centimeters. So literally my legs were that much longer. And so I went through a series. Would you believe an acupuncturist was really helpful in rebalancing the energy, and it sucked it right back up again. And then I was getting some chiro and physio. But even to this day, Shihan said he gets nervous during kumite. Give me a thumbs up or a yes if you've ever gotten nervous in kumite. I get nervous in kumite. Man, oh man, oh man. Mick Jovanovic. Shihan. Oh yeah, getting there. I'm carrying a bit of too much weight, too much fun over Christmas. The kids came, everything like that. Is your body just getting prepared to deal with a challenge? Don't let it worry you. But the best way to overcome nervousness in kumite is to work. But if you have flexibility, then work on your timing and kicks so you can give people a bit of a hard time like that. So to overcome flexibility, you overcome nervousness and fear. You don't like it. But like Salso said, if you just face your fears and move forward, 9 times out of 10, you'll be right. So there's what you're going through there, Suhas. It's what everyone goes through. It's a universal thing. Everybody gets a little bit of fear up there. Okay, so now I'm just going to finish off with the stomp turn drill. Now this is a drill I developed. It has 2 parts. Chase the belt. How do I turn that off? There it is. One's called Chase the Belt. And the other's called the Stomp Turn. I won't do the Chase the Belt because you need a partner. But the Chase the Belt drill combined with the Stomp Turn drill will develop an amazingly solid defense against head kicks and a very, very powerful kick in itself. I've covered them both, but I'd like to come back, and that's what I was saying before, is that Salsai said he will keep saying the same thing over and over and over until he knows that you've got it. And once you get it, then that's when the instructor stops saying it. So if you're in a class and your instructor says to do something, you roll your eyes to yourself and go, he's told me that 50 times. Well, you obviously haven't listened 49 of the times, or if you have, you haven't worked on it. And this is why the logbooks are so good, because when an instructor says, relax your shoulders, close your waki, and tighten your little finger in the punch, and the next time you do it, you're doing this, well, then obviously you're having it over and over and over and over till he knows you got it. So I've done this before. So this is the stomp turn drill kick, and it's particularly important to protect your joints on jigsaw mats. Jigsaw mats are the biggest boon in training and the biggest bane in training, because unlike sprung wooden floors, your feet don't move smoothly over them. Your feet will bite into them. So when you throw the kick, your bottom leg, you'll go to throw the kick, your bottom leg won't move naturally. So the bottom of the leg is stuck, the top of the leg will move. Degeneration of the knee beyond what perhaps is normal. So the stomp turn drill works that. So here's the stomp turn drill. We work on the idea of stomping the kicking leg. Bill Wallace used to do this. He'd be here and he'd go and he'd stomp his foot and he'd do that. Up, up, bang. Up, up, bang. And one, it'd be, and he'd do that. Up, up, bang. Up, up, bang. And one, it'd be a bit of a distraction like that. Okay, well, it's the same when we do a roundhouse. If we stop, we're kicking with the back foot, we stomp the back foot. Stomp. So we'll start the drill, we'll just go stomp. Moving. Stomp. And that's when our brain says, I'm going to throw a kick, we simply stomp. That introduces the stretch shortly cycle. It's completely different to just trying to kick off the ground. Now the next part of the stomp turn is we turn the supporting foot. Because the problem is, if we leave the supporting foot to turn on its own, on jigsaw mats especially, you're going to damage your knee because it won't have that same movement. So what you do is you go stomp, turn. See how I've turned my foot out ready for the kick, and that opens the alignment for the hips. So stomp, turn. I turn here. So now you can do another round or half a round just doing that. Stomp, turn. Stomp, turn. Stomp, turn. Stomp, turn. And see, by turning, that sets your hips up so that there's openness for the kick. And then stomp, turn, tuck. So stomp, turn, tuck. I don't even have to throw the kick. I simply tuck and let my body weight fall forward. Stomp, turn, tuck. Oh, like that. Stomp, turn, tuck. Tuck the leg. Again, the reason for the tuck is to increase that stretch shorten cycle through the knee joint. Stomp, turn, tuck, and fall into it. Stomp, turn, tuck. Stomp, turn, tuck. Stomp, turn, tuck. And then, of course, you throw the kick. And you want the head to follow the kick. So you don't want to get the body weight falling away from the kick. So I don't want to go stomp, turn, and lean my head back so that when I throw the kick, I fall off it. What I want to develop is stomp, turn, body weight going into the kick. So that's where we go stop, stomp, turn, tuck, kick, step, and your head goes forward on the step. Stomp, turn, tuck, kick, and I let my head fall into the kick. Stomp, turn. As I turn, I bring my hands up into Cox cone. Stomp, turn, tuck and kick and fall forward. Like that. Stomp, turn, tuck, kick, fall into it. Okay? And this is a drill. And then what I do with the kids, when I work it with the kids, I play a game and I call it sneaky, sneaky. So what I'll do is, if my imaginary opponent is here, or if I'm working with a partner, that's okay too. I'll go stomp, turn, tuck, kick, step, rotate, sneaky, sneaky. So I'll tell them, stomp, 1, turn, 2, tuck, 3, kick, 4, step, 5, rotate, 6. So there's 6 steps to it. Why do we do that? Because I don't want to be here all the time going and face my partner and let him hit me or kick me. What I need to always do is stomp, actually reshape before he can counter. But if I just do it and stay in alignment, bang, and I get used to that in the dojo because I've got a line down the dojo, lots of people need the room, so you all say north and south. But the fact is, it develops a bad habit because you react how you train. 1, 2, 4, my kick, and I want to move off the angle like that. So I make sure that I'm at that angle. So 6-step process in the stomp turn. Stomp the foot. Stomp the foot. Turn the supporting foot. Tuck the kicking leg. Kick, step, rotate, or turn. Okay, that's the tuck, kick, step, rotate off. You do that every time as a drill, and under pressure against a strong opponent, you'll tend to wind up there because I've got training soon. Henry, I know all that. Thanks for dropping in. Shahran. Us, good to see you. Where are you, Shah? Stig, nice to see your name pop up. Us. Yep, good on you. Us. Okay, so anyway, that's a really good drill. If you run a dojo, it's correct. Remember, we talk about the hierarchy of dominance. I don't mean in anthropological studies, I mean in technical drilling. There's a hierarchy of dominance. And what that means is you have to do the first thing first. Then you do the second thing second. And there's a dominance, a hierarchy. And it's important that the first thing is first, not last. So in other words, the stomp turn. Well, we turn there to set up the kick, but if I turn later after I've kicked, it's too late. Okay, but that's what most people do. Okay, good on you, Sharp. I heard Melbourne's wet today. Paddy, good to see you, man. Damien, thanks, guys. Bill, Bill, good to see your name. Daniel, always good to see you again. I don't know when I'm going to get down there, but we're talking with Mark about a seminar soon, as soon as the COVID thing sorts itself out. Marco, yeah, that really is a great technique. Harry, Mark just came around and we just sipped tea and had lunch and talked about old times and talked about new times, and we've got some pretty interesting things in the pipeline. Good on you, Mike. Sukantaroi. Namaste. Good. Thank you. Arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you. So anyway, guys, have a good week. Just remember, nice and easy moving back into training. Eat the elephant a bite size at a time, not too much. It was Claudio. Thank you very much, Harry. Oh, I didn't know I was breaking up, but thanks for letting me know. It might have something to do. You know, I bought a computer and it died and I was having trouble with it. Remember, I was having trouble there for a while, and it turns out the computer was funky. So I took it back, they replaced it, which is good on one side, but boy, oh boy, I lost a lot of data because I hadn't backed it up properly. Suhas Banik, 100-Man Kumite by Daniel Sanchez. But I'm not the man to ask because I wasn't there. Rad, good to see you, man. If you love what we do, go and check out Patreon and join the party. And I'm working on, the book has thrown a few things, of course. Don't I remember you mentioning? Yes, I have, Bill. Got that book. Email me.